Thank you for that introduction, Jane. And thank you all for being here this morning. I'm really looking forward to talking to you about FireSmart and different ways to mitigate the wildfire risk around woodlots, and also touching on the home ignition zone as well. So the 7 disciplines of FireSmart, the program is really built on all of these disciplines together. So education and outreach is one of the main things that I myself focus on. So that involves going to community events, speaking with individuals such as yourselves, and learning more about the program as studies come in and things develop. It also focuses on emergency planning and cross-training, legislation development, and interagency cooperation. So all of these things play a really vital role in making the program as effective and efficient as it is. So today I'm mostly going to touch on the vegetation management side of things, and I do have a number of resources over there that you're welcome to help yourselves too. This is just a quick snapshot of what's going on across the country currently. So this was taken yesterday afternoon before I left the office, and as we can see, it's comparable to 2023 and things going on across the country. Wildfires are definitely on people's mind, or something that we're concerned about, or at the very least aware of. So we'll touch first on FireSmart for woodlots. So there are a number of ways that we can mitigate the risk around our woodlots and within land. So we have pruning. So this is a part of the vegetation management principle for FireSmart. So pruning the lower hanging branches of softwood and coniferous trees really helps reduce the likelihood of a ground fire coming in and igniting those. So a lot of the time when a ground fire moves in, it's going to consume the smaller fuels on the ground and eventually burn out. But when those lower hanging branches are closer to the ground and able to actually ignite, that can lead the fire up the entire tree. So pruning those branches up off the ground will reduce that likelihood. So we can see in that photo there how the top of the tree is still luscious and full of green, but that bottom risk has been taken away. We also look at mulching. So mechanical mulchers can grind standing vegetation and leave mulch on the ground, and smaller mulchers can actually operate under the canopy and get those dry surface fuels. So once those fuels are mulched, sometimes they can be used to actually landscape walkways or paths through the woods. So this kind of product, after they're mulched, can still be used within woodlots and trails. So it reduces the hazardous ground fuels and limits the potential fire spread that could occur with those fuels being on the ground and very, very dry. Thinning is the process of selectively removing trees and vegetations from a forest or wooded area, and densely spaced fuels will really benefit from thinning. So this decreases the amount of connection between fuels, so when the tops of trees are all touching together and very close, once one ignites, it's essentially like a domino effect, so they'll all kind of start to ignite. But in some places where we're able to actually space those trees a little farther apart, it actually decreases that risk of that domino effect actually igniting all of those trees. Removing dead and downed wood, so standing dead trees as well as downed trees and branches in highly dense areas. We know that these are vital for some of our species and populations. So we don't want to remove all of them, but those that we see in areas that are super dense and highly flammable, those dry and dead fuels can be removed. So it eliminates the combustible materials and fuels that could contribute to a further fire spread. So fuel breaks and fire breaks. Creating fire breaks in a woodlot reduces the potential loss in a woodlot as a result of a wildfire. So there are a few examples of different fuel breaks and fire breaks. I have a few examples here. So planting a section of hardwoods within a softwood stand could be an example of creating a fire break. And this is because hardwood species are less likely to ignite and catch fire compared to softwood and coniferous species. So having that kind of breakup in species and fuels can be really beneficial to reducing that risk. We also can remove a series of flammable fuels in a highly dense area to actually create a physical break between those different fuels and species. And we also see thinning sections of the stand as well to create those fuel and fire breaks. So just a few examples there of what that can look like on a smaller scale or a larger scale. And I just have a few examples here of some work that's being done on public lands. So we can see that these are wildlife management areas, and when we first approached this, it was a little uncertain whether work was going to be able to be done, but working with various individuals in my office and with Forest, Fish and Wildlife, we were able to mitigate 50 meters around homes and buildings to actually create that fire safety and then leave the rest of the wildlife management area as it was. So this was really beneficial to make the homes around the areas that were affected a little safer and to reduce the likelihood of anything igniting or combusting. And just a few more examples there of what that work can look like. So we see some spacing and pruning up of those lower branches to really reduce that fire risk. And we can see in some of the photos that there are those smaller fuels in the ground. And this summer they will be mulched with a mechanical mulcher, one of the things that I had mentioned earlier. So FireSmart in the home ignition zone and around our home structures and properties. I'll just play this quick little video here. There's no sound or anything, but it's just going to walk through an unmitigated property and some of the risks that are presented. So we see leaves in gutters, unpruned trees, a lot of small shrubs underneath the trees, and densely spaced fuels. So we also see vegetation right up against the homes. That can likely lead to damage of homes and structures. So in the event that a fire does come through, it's going to spread quickly through that high, dry grass and ladder up those unpruned trees. And all those leaves and dry fuels that are actually in the gutters will ignite from the embers and fire moving through. Makes the home really vulnerable. In this next little graphic here, it's just going to walk through a mitigated property. So we've cleaned the gutters, mowed the grass down, separated and pruned some of those trees. Leaf litter and branches have been removed from the yards, really anything that's combustible or going to ignite with an ember or spark. And the wildlife know to get out of there. When the fire comes through, it's not going to ladder up those unpruned trees, and if it has no fuel to consume, it's eventually going to die out or just stop burning. So we do have a number of resources available, and I have them there on my table, but if I don't have enough or run out, I'm happy to get them to you wherever you may be across the island. I don't necessarily have a jurisdiction or somewhere as I work specifically. It's all across the province, west to east. So happy to work with any of you, but we do have a Begins at Home guide. So this is a really great kind of catch-all resource for FireSmart. We also just developed a new landscaping guide this year, 2025. So I have a few copies of those with me as well today. We have a Protecting Your Community from Wildfire manual. So this is quite a large book, but really covers everything from community planning to wildfire prevention and vegetation management, and all of those 7 disciplines are really highlighted in that manual. We have Blazing the Trail, so celebrating Indigenous fire stewardship across Canada, and also a home development guide that highlights different non-combustible building materials and best practices for homes and structures. We also have a plant tag program that I am hopeful to have implemented here in the province at some point in the future, but this was designed by British Columbia and is implemented in a few garden centers across Nova Scotia. but it has little tags that can go on different plants that say this is a FireSmart plant or this is a fire-resistant plant. So it gives those who may be shopping for a plant or something for their garden, gives them a little bit more information on what they might want to plant closer to their home or avoid farther away. So having FireSmart plants around our home is much safer than something that would be flammable or highly combustible. And thank you for your time this morning. I'm more than happy to chat with any of you. I'll be over there kind of at the little table, but I'll be sticking around most of the day. So thank you for your time this morning and happy to take any questions.